During the off-season, you have time to reach out to delegates and senators and set up a meeting several weeks out. Time to do deep dives into your policy proposals and its positive potentials. Time to relax and chill. But during session, about the only time you have time is when you're waiting for that random subcommittee to start. So in this time of lack of time, how do you get time to have a meeting with a legislator or their staff? And how do you make the best use of them? On today's Better Advocacy in 10 minutes or less, you'll learn all this and more. And we don't have much time either. I want to share all this knowledge I learned while advocating, lobbying, and staffing with you. So let's get started. To get a meeting, you have to ask for a meeting. Now, that should be self-evident, but the sooner you ask and the easier you make it for them to say yes, the better results you'll get. So, how do you ask? The best way is to go in person and talk to their scheduler. In most cases, this is the chief of staff or senior legislative aide. Swing by their office, knock on their door, and simply ask. Have some dates and times in mind. They can check the calendar and tell you what works for them, and y'all can set a date right then and there. I like this better than emails because the back and forth of scheduling can be difficult to do quickly, and as we said, all this needs to happen quickly. Now, phone works better than email, but you're more likely to get through without leaving a message if you show up in person. And if you do come in person, bring an appointment reminder to leave behind. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. The most helpful ones I received as an aide were fill in the blanks, where the lobbyist or advocate had a 1/4 to an 1/8 size sheet of paper. They had their name and who they represented typed out, then blanks for the elected's name, the bill number, if they were for or against it, and the date and time of the meeting. They'd pre-fill the elected and bill data and then write the date and time of the meeting before handing it to us. Now, not only do we have it in our electric calendar, but we also had this hard copy sitting on our desk to remind us to prep for the meeting. Yeah, you know what? It works surprisingly well. Now that you've made the ask, who will you meet with? When I started doing federal work, what really amazed me was how little you actually see the elected officials. Instead, you're meeting with a policy staffer for your area of interest, and this staffer usually has an advanced degree in a specialized field. But at the State House, it's another story. Staff are generalists. Don't get me wrong now. Most are some of the sharpest, most analytical, and compassionate people I know, but they have to be experts for every committee their elected serves on, while the elected is more likely to have a deeper understanding of at least one of the committees they serve on. If your policy is in a space you know the legislator is an expert in, press for the meeting with the elected. If not, take the meeting with the aide. The aide will have more time to ask clarifying questions that will help them understand how to present your policy best to the elected. But how many questions will they have time to ask? How long can you realistically expect a meeting during session to last? Expect no more than about 15 minutes. That means you need to be prepared with your most powerful talking points. Have any constituents or impacted folks prepared to stay on topic and brief when they speak. And be ready with your one-pager or leave behind to drive home your point. So how do you prep and what do you include in these micro meetings? First, make sure you know the ins and outs of the bill you're supporting or opposing. Know as much backstory as possible, even if it's not your bill. Who was the patron? Why is it being introduced? Is it from the governor, a legislative commission, advocacy orgs, an individual? Is there any opposition, and who was for it? The elected will want to know when they'll see the bill. Has it already been docketed in their committee or subcommittee? When do they expect it to come before them? If they won't see it until it's on the floor, tell them. But also expect them to pay less attention and give you less time if it's not in their committee. Now that they know why they need to know about this bill, share your brief story about the bill. This is that two-step method that I shared in one of our first ever episodes in Better Advocacy in 10 minutes or less. There will be a link above here, and there will be one in the description. Then, once you share that two-step method, ask them to support or oppose your bill, whichever you're going for here. Try to get their commitment, but don't be pushy about it. You always want to be professional. And be sure to leave that one-pager behind. A well-written one-pager will help your position on that bill rise to the top, especially if the legislator's caucus has not taken a position on it. All right. Now that your meeting is over, your work isn't quite done yet. You need to follow up. That same day, send an email thanking them for their time and highlight your main talking points. If they ask any questions you couldn't answer during your meeting, provide those answers and be sure to note your sources. Now, once the vote happens, send them a thank you note for voting your way. But if they didn't vote your way and you don't know why, swing by the office and ask. Nicely, of course. This is intel gathering to help you prepare for that next vote or the next session. They're usually very candid. Someone they trust said they should vote that way. The caucus encouraged a certain vote. The other side provided a more powerful counterargument. Take this new information and see how you can use it to your advantage. Are there other people you need to target? Is there an issue with unintended consequences or missed messaging? Do you need to improve your own PR? And that's the thing. Once you get involved in advocacy and policy, you realize that this work is never really done. There's always something else you need to be doing. But that's why I'm here, bringing you tools for better advocacy in 10 minutes or less.